Today is June 22nd, 1995. Testimony with Adolf Kraindler. The interviewer is Miriam Coral. This is in Beverly Hills, California, in English.
My name is Miriam Coral, and today I'm interviewing survivor Adolf Berger. Today is June 22nd, 1995. We're in Beverly Hills, California, USA. Can you state your full name, the date of your birth, and where you were born?
My full name is Adolf Berger. Where I was born? In Czechoslovakia.
What city?
Sevlush.
Servush?
Yeah.
Czechoslovakia.
In Hungarian they used to call it Nagy Szőlős. And today they call it Vinogradov in Russia.
Can you spell Servush?
Sevlush, S-E-V-U-L-U-S.
And what year were you born?
September 11, 1921.
Can you tell me something about your father? What was his name and what did he do for a living?
My father's name was Jacob Berger, and he was a moving business. You know, trucking, but with horses, you know, how should I say it, I don't know.
He had a horse and wagon?
A horse and wagon, with delivering, moving, and this was his business. Here they would call it trucking business. By us, they was moving, you know, with horses. Didn't have a truck.
And what was his name?
Jacob.
And did he have many people working for him, or was it just himself?
He had sometime 2-3 people.
What kinds of things did he deliver or move?
He delivered boxcar, load out merchandise from the railroad to the storage rooms, wine barrels from the mountains to the railroad, moving people, furniture, you know, from one people who moved from one apartment to the other, and wood, burning wood. He used to deliver boxcars, and all this kind of stuff, wheat, anything what needed to be moved, and you know, furnitures and that's what you call where they keep the money in the banks, that vault. That was very hard, and pianos.
Can you tell me a little bit about your father? What was his background?
What was his background? What do you mean?
Well, like in World War I?
Yeah, he was 3.5 years. He was in America. He came in 1911. And 1913 he went back. And in 14 he went to the First World War. He was there 3.5 years.
Who did he fight with?
With the Hungarian, Austria-Hungary. I don't know, against I don't know what they fought against Serbia. I don't know what they fought.
Mm-hmm. He was in the Hungarian army? He
was in Hungarian army. And then he came home, wounded, but he recovered. And they moved in for us from a small village to a to a city, and there they lived until they took him away, 1944.
Tell me about your mother. What was her name?
Giselle, maiden name Rosner, R-O-S-E-N-R, Rosner, E-N-E-R. She came from a larger city. She married to a little village. Well, when my father was in the war, she moved from a little village. She didn't like to live in the little village, so she moved to a bigger city. She bought a house, and my father came home. They lived already in Sevlush. And they had, they had 4 children before I was born.
Can you tell me their names?
Yeah, my brother was born in 1907. His name was Morris Moshe. And my sister Miriam, she was, I don't know exactly, maybe in 1910. And I had a sister Leah. She was born in 1913, and I had a sister, Sarah. She was born in 1916, and I was born in 1921.
So you were the baby.
I was the last.
And what kind of school did you go to?
I went in elementary school, 4 grades and 2 grades in higher. I don't know what they call it here. They used to call it Polgari by us. It's like gymnasium, but it was not gymnasium. And by 13 years, my father was vacation time. My father woke up before a week before Yom Kippur, Shabbat Tshuva, and he went to synagogue and came back limping in a lake. And we had a lot of customers, so I was developed, 13 years old. So we hired somebody, but they didn't trust him the keys from the storages and all the money. So my mother went to the people to what should we do. So said, if your son goes, they trust me. So I figured 2 months till the vacation is over, he's going to get better. And I'll go back to school. But he didn't get better. So I worked a whole year. Then he got a little better, but couldn't take more work. So I took over, and I worked till they took me away in 1942.
So you were you were delivering materials, loading the wagon?
Everything. I was delivering to a village big load furniture. A guy came from America and bought some furniture for some relatives. He was traveling. He asked me, you already finished the army, but are you married? I was 16 years old, and to be finished the army, you had to be 23. But I looked so developed, so he thought I'm already. I was big. I have a grandson. He looks like me. You'll see him. I hope he's going to come. He's 16 tomorrow.
So tell me, what was the town like? What was it?
Town was beautiful.
Can you describe?
75% people lived from grapes, making wine, selling grapes, working the grapes. And we had a brick factory from brooms, and clothing business, clothing shops. And it was beautiful climate. From our city going further east to Poland, you had to go higher and higher and higher, and there was colder and didn't grow everything like by us. By us, in May we had cherries and strawberries and peaches. Beautiful country. I loved it, and very intelligent people. You know, we had people who wrote in newspapers hygienic articles, and our city, our country became, the first Jew came in 1680 or something from Poland. They was chasing out the Jews. They didn't want to become Catholics, and they killed them. So we didn't want to turn to be Catholic. Couldn't stay there. So they tried. The mountain chains was together with Poland. So they tried to run away. So they settled down in a little village from our city, about 10 kilometers, because the city was all barrens and grafs. They didn't let in Jews. So they settled in the villages. And little by little, they let them in. 200 years later, there was, from those Jews, 2 people in the parliament in Budapest. From those people who came from Khmelnytsky pogrom. Very nice, very nice. I loved.
So the city, there were lots of Jews in the city?
when I left was over 5,000.
Out of what was the total population?
Total was maybe 20,000. There was Czechs, Hungarians, and Ukrainians, and Jews.
Did you live in a Jewish neighborhood?
There was no. It was mixed.
You lived in a mixed neighborhood.
There wasn't like in Poland, you know, where was Warsaw Jews. It was mixed. We had maybe a third, maybe less Jews, but we had no problems. In my days, we had no problems.
What was the Jewish life like in your city?
The life was.
Were there synagogues?
Yeah, we had big synagogue, large where we belonged from childhood till the end. There was smaller Stiblach, Medrash, you know, more Orthodox, less Orthodox, but everybody kept Shabbos by us. And there was not one Jew who shouldn't keep Yom Kippur. There was some converted Jews, you know. I was in Budapest 3 years ago, and I met a man from.
Let's just stick with.
No, I just want to tell you from one Jew what happened in our city. He was a lawyer.
Well, is this about you? Let's talk about you now.
Yeah.
Okay. So, how about what was the relationship like between the Jews and the non-Jews in your city?
And my time wasn't too bad. It was incidents, which one was not so good, you know. Like I took a whole cottage, you know, they took it apart and I put up in my big wagon. And when I started to go, it broke down the axle. So I had to get somebody else. So I took a guy, a Gentile family. His son was with me going in school. And he took the contract. And he started to pack in 2-3 wagons. He couldn't pack what I had in one wagon, you know. He didn't have that large. He got so mad, he took the hatchet, he almost somewhere here knocked me, not with the spitz. You know.
With a handle.
With the other side.
Oh.
I don't know. But otherwise, till the Hungarian didn't come in, we had not so bad. The Czechs was very intelligent people, you know. Czechoslovakia, they called it small America. The Czech leadership, you know. But then in 1938, the Hungarian came in and they started to tear the beards for the Jews and beat them. And we thought it's the old Hungarian, you know, like the First World War, they was good. But they was no good. They joined Hitler and they showed worst like the Germans. Those people, you grew up with them all the years. They was hardly waiting to get out the Jews, take away from them all the belongings, you know.
Okay, let's go back for a minute. So when the city that you were born in,
Yeah.
it was in Czechoslovakia?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you say it was the Carpathians?
Carpathian. That part is called Podkarpatska Rus, Carpathian Mountain.
Can you describe your house, your home? What was that like?
We had two bedrooms, a kitchen, stable for the animals, a garage, and we had a vegetable garden. We had fruit trees, and then we had a big piece of land where we used to grow wheat. 1 year wheat, 1 year corn, 1 year hay, which helped for us. We didn't have any social program. If somebody was sick, it was their problem. We didn't have help like here. So we had, that helped a little. We wasn't the poorest, you know, we was middle, in the middle. My father worked hard, so we never was hungry for bread or something. But there was families who didn't have even enough food for the children.
Were you a close family? What was
Yeah.
your family like? Yeah?
Very close family, but my two sisters in beginning of 30s, there was no much work in our city, you know, so children grew up and there was a chance to go without getting a visa to Belgium to work, and a lot of girls and boys went to Belgium and they worked, they saved money and they sent it home. So my two sisters went there,
Which ones?
Sarah and Leah.
The
And
two younger sisters.
older.
No, I know, but
Yeah, the two younger. One Miriam had already three kids, three kids, I think three kids.
and so what year was this that they went to Belgium?
What?
What year did they go to
I
Belgium?
don't know. I think in 32 or 33. I don't know for sure. That time. And they used to send home little money or they saved, and my mother used to save it for them. Buy a few linens in case they come home, they're gonna get married. And they never came home. They was taken in 1942 in October. I find out when they took them from Belgium.
We'll talk about that in a little
Yeah.
while. So, can you describe what did you belong to any Jewish organizations, and
Yeah,
what
well,
kind? Can you describe what that was?
Zionist organization, Chalutz HaTzair, you know, a Hebrew organization. We went there, singing, dancing, but we hoped one day we'll maybe go to Israel, but that was not easy to go to Israel. You need affidavit, and British didn't let you in. But some people made it, some people got out. But I couldn't leave my old parents. I was the family provider.
Where was your brother in this?
My brother left when the Hungarian came in. He left to Russia.
But I mean, before that, where was your
Before
brother?
he was home.
He was home. But
he
how
was-
come you were working?
Because he was involved in the communism, said he should help take over my father's business and let me finish school. He was up to here in the communism, Marxism. He thought this is the solution for the world. You know, he was not a politician for money. He thought this is it, so he was busy with this. So he didn't. And then he left to Russia when the Hungarian took over. And that was the end of it. I never heard from him.
We didn't talk about your mother at all. What was she like? What was your mother like, and what did she do?
My mother?
Mhm.
She's a very wonderful person, very charitable, a good mother, good wife. And my father was too good. If not, my mother would a little bit hold him back. We wouldn't have what to eat. He would give away everything what he had.
He was very charitable too.
My mother had to hold them back a little, you know. My son is like this. Yeah.
No, was there someone else living with you? Were there any other children?
No, I told you yesterday. I had a
Can you describe that?
yeah. And when I was 5 years old, we had I came home from Haider, and there was a little boy by us, and he couldn't speak just Russian, Jewish boy. He was adopted from a Gentile family, and they took him Christmas carols, and he was coughing, and they burned with a cigarette his face. He was 4 years old, and I came home. I didn't know what's going on, so my father talked Russian. He said, "Show him how they kill the pig, you know." He lay down with a knife and he showed, you know. So my sister Sarah with my mother went in the city once a winter. And she was very young, and the Gabbai, you know, from the Rosh Kol, from the city, told my mother there is a little Jewish boy in the mountains by a Gentile family, and they give him a lot of tourists. We should take him. And my mother said, I have my own 5. And my sister dreamed in the night from the little boy. And she said to my mother, let's take the little boy, you know. So I went to the Russia Call, and they took like a taxi, and they brought him home to us, and he was by us. He started to go in Cheder in Czech school, and he was just like our own, and he's the one who survived. He's in Haifa, Israel.
What's his name?
Yosef.
Yosef.
Yeah, he has a son, a doctor. He lives in Haifa. He lived in America 10 years. He didn't like it. He went back.
So, tell me what happened. You said things changed in 1938. Can you describe?
Yeah, in 1938, the Czechs was taken away our territory by Hitler, and they gave it to Hungary. The Hungarian took it back. It belonged to Hungary, but the First World War they lost it, so that became Czechoslovakia. So they came in. We hoped they are like the old Hungarian from the First World War, which I didn't know them, but the older people said they was good. You know, Franz Josef and those, they was good people. So the first day they came in, they fought a little. They fought with the Czechs, but the Czechs just kept them back until they moved out. They went to Romania and Russia, the Czech army. So, but Hitler also promised that territory for local Ukrainian. You know, they was fascist. Sich guard. I don't know if you ever heard Sich. And they had already a paper prepared which Jew they're gonna kill. They had a black book, and they gave an order. All the stores where it's written, you know, the names had to take off and put Russian. You know, they was not communist Russia. They was fascist. They made to march in the main street, and they had to sing their hymn. You know, it didn't die. Ukraine didn't die. You know, and Czechs should go to Prague, Hungarian to the Hungarian to the Hungarian original came from what's the name? I forget. You know, deep from Russia. The original come the Hungarian, Caucasus or somewhere. Hungarian, the Židé, the Palestine, Magyari, the Asia, the Hungarians to Asia, and Czech, the Prague. And the people who didn't have ready re-signed the names, they picked up and they tore down the sign, you know, for the stores. But a few days later, Hitler gave it to Hungary, and Hungary was already a army, and they just was a bunch of hoodlums from the colleges, and they went fight with the Hungarian, and they cut them off like wheat. You know, the Hungarian was not the famous army, but they had an army, so they killed a lot of those sitches, and they cleaned out the whole Carpathian, and the Hungarian took it over. Then they took away all the license for the Jews from the store. You know, all those things what started this what the Hungarian did.
So when did they take away how did that affect you? Did that affect your business?
My business, not much, because when the Czechs went away, they came in. They brought in the offices supply, you know, the city hall and all those, and they had furnitures. So we had to deliver it in. But I had people who worked for me, and it was used, the Czechs always gave a tip, no matter you took from here a package there, they gave you a tip. And those Hungarian brought nice furnitures, and they put together the beds and everything. They asked, they waiting for the tip, there's no tip. So he said, I already paid for me, you know. They know, but that was the difference from the Hungarian, from the Czechs. And so I worked hard. They couldn't take away hard labor, you know. They needed the work. But if you had a store, they took away the only way you could keep it. You had to take a partner, another non-Jew partner, and then the non-Jew kicked you out anyway. So So, and when I was, 21 years old, my time was to go to the labor camp. But I got married.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So in 1938, the Hungarians took over.
Yeah.
And you were still in business.
Yeah, sure.
And then what happened? What was the next thing that happened?
So next we was they start to take to the camp according the age, So I was going with my wife 4 years.
What was your wife's name?
Dora David.
Dora David.
And we was courting 4 years, and I want to get out from the army normal, get married, but I know I gonna marry her, so I want she should stay with my old parents. She had only a mother. So we got married.
When was this?
In 1942, September the 4th. And my time was to leave in October the 5th.
To leave where?
To the labor camp.
You knew that already?
I know. But the older people said, well, till 1 month the Russian was close to us. They're going to occupy, they're going to be liberated. And if you go for a month, maybe, that's all. So we got married. And it was 2.5 years till we got liberated, until I came home.
So between 1938 and 1942, what was your life like?
It was not good. Every Friday we had to go to clean the streets. Sometimes it took us Saturday,
Who's we?
All the younger who was not in the labor camp, was not 21 years old. We had to take shovels and brooms and clean the street.
All the young men?
Yeah. They called it pre-military. The Jews didn't go to the army, so they had to clean the streets. It was very, very humiliating business to do that,
When did that start? When did you start?
Start in 38, 39, 38. Soon the Hungarian took over.
So every Friday?
Every Friday we had to go and show up with a shovel and a broom and clean the main street.
Was that all day long, or?
Yeah, all day long. All day long.
And what else was it like? What were the conditions like in that time?
So the first, soon the Czechs left, you couldn't buy a pair of shoes. But the Czechs, there was a factory, Batya, there was everything cheap. Soon they came in, nothing. Food started to be on ration. So it started to be the trouble, big trouble, little by little. Was no good. They didn't care. My father was 3.5 years in the First World War and three times wounded. They should help something, nothing. Not a thing. So my brother, when the Hungarian came in, he was a communist, so he was afraid they're going to arrest him, so he ran to Russia. He went through the border. The border was not far from us, so he skipped the border, and the Russian finished him up.
What do you mean?
So they took him to the first city, to the Russian commandatur, and they asked him, what are you here? He said, I'm a communist. You're not a communist, you're a spy. If you're a communist, you should stay there and work the communists locally. We have here communists. So they beat him, and who knows what they did, took him to court, and they sent him to Russia, to Siberia.
Now, how do you know this?